that. Okay, so we've gone almost 20 minutes into the call and we have less than 2 hours. It's great to meet everyone. My I'll be sharing tab. My screen is a mess right now. I'm doing a ton of things at the same time. Give me a minute, please. Well, it's nice to meet you all. I see everyone has picked up interest in software testing. I'm sure in your previous class, in week one's class, you've been introduced to what it is all about. So I will just go right into my section of the call, which is on test design and test documentation. Please confirm you can see my screen.
We can, man. I can.
All right, great. I want to share again. Okay, good. So we'll be talking about test design and test documentation. In this class, I'm very sure the interior designer, Emeka, can relate with design. So it's basically drafting what you want your test documents to look like, right? And because of time, we'll be going as fast as we can. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to either raise your hand or unmute to ask. I'm hoping that we'll be able to cover some ground and we'll be able to go into some practical cases, or at least I will share sample documents of how you can do some of these test documents because we have 2 hours. But let's just start and see how far we can go, right? So we're going to start with understanding what requirement documents are and what test basis is. So when you see the word requirement documents, can anyone just from the word mention what they think it means? Requirements documents. Okay. Just go on mute and speak. Stephanie.
Okay, requirement document is basically the document that is created for a software application or a web application, so that during the process of building the software, in case of anything, we'll have something to fall back on. Like, it's just a documented process we're meant to follow to build the software.
Okay. So it's a Esther's hand is up. So let's take Esther. Esther.
Yeah, so a requirement document to me speaks to what we want the app or software to look like what we expect it to have, the functionalities and all. So we use that to work on what the app will turn out to be. Eventually, it helps in building the app.
Okay, great. So you both are correct. Basically, it's a document that contains the list of requirements for the software or the application that is about to be built. Usually in the life cycle of a new product or a new service being developed, it usually starts like this. Somebody has an idea, or someone sees a problem, identifies a problem, say, there's a problem with sending money from the US to Nigeria, right? Someone identifies a problem and then comes up with an idea, encounters a problem or hears about a problem or sees a problem and comes up with an idea. Okay, let's take for example child deck. What's the problem child deck? Okay, I don't know if everybody's in Lagos, but do you guys know child deck? Is like junior
Yeah,
food.
food.
Yes, yes, we do.
Perfect. All right, great. So can anyone mention what the problem was then? The owners or the people that built child deck. Child deck is what we see now and the service we use now, right? That's the end product. But the change started with one. Somebody identified a problem and then thought of an idea to solve that problem. So what do you think the problem child deck is solving is?
The problem Child Deck is solving is helping people to get food at their doorstep without having to come out from their house.
Okay, great. So maybe the person that had the idea or sold the idea, Mistura, your network is pretty poor. But don't worry, we'll continue. We'll continue that way. We can't really hear you. So maybe the guy that had the idea or sold the idea or conceived it and gave it to someone else to develop it, one day went to work remotely somewhere and hunger almost killed him. And he thought he tried to book and there was no means, and then that's how the idea came up, right? So usually everything we see and every service we use comes out from a problem that someone thought of, a problem that someone saw and thought of a solution for it. So the requirement document here is supposed to be a place where someone, a house for the idea that was conceived and what you expect that idea to have, or the problems you expect that idea to solve, the features that you expect that idea to have to enable you solve the problem. So when the person thought of child deck, okay, for us to, we are not a restaurant, right? So, or we are not Mama Put. We don't own a restaurant. So how do we, what are the things we need to, who are the stakeholders we will need? So they probably thought, oh, we need to connect with restaurant owners. We need to connect with a logistic company that would deliver the item. We need to have, we need to have a platform for communication, an app to receive orders, send it to these food vendors, blah, blah, blah. So those were, it was from that idea that each of these features and elements came out from. So the requirement document basically, or also known as the test basis, is the information that is needed to start the test analysis. The requirement document itself gives you information of the application you want to develop, right? That's where either the project manager or the product owner documents what the features should have. So after we've identified food vendors as a stakeholder, logistic company as a stakeholder, communications network as, we then thought, okay, so how best do we think we can aggregate all the stakeholders? Should we make a mobile app? Should they make a web app? All those questions begin to come out. So it's from an idea that all these features blow out, and then the stakeholders then agree, okay, what do we want? Do we want to make it web first, then mobile comes later, or mobile first, web comes later? All those requirements, all those things that will be necessary for developing that product is then written out, right? And placed in a document called requirements document. So this requirement documents can come in different types, right? And they have different names. You will see BRD here, you see FRD here, you see PRD here. Basically, BRD, business requirement document, FRD, functional requirement documents, PRD, product requirement documents, SRD, system requirement document. Basically, they mean the same thing. They are requirement documents. So a technical requirement document might speak to the technical bits, meaning what servers are we using, what is our architecture going to look like, what database are we integrating to, what API hosting platform will we be using. It might be talking more technical language in a technical requirement document compared to business requirement document. So a business requirement document's focus is the business. Okay, so what do we need to be in business? The product should have an onboarding phase, a place where users can sign up. The product should have a place where users can view their profiles. It talks about the functionality and the business requirements, the list of those things, right? So I guess we have, for those who don't, is their first time interacting with BRDs or requirement documents in general, you have an understanding as to what it means. So test basis is it within the umbrella of requirement documents. It's essentially is saying test and basis, the things we need to start testing, the basic information needed to commence testing. So like it's written, the information needed in order to start test analysis or create your test cases. So from the explanation we've gotten, you can see how important it is to understand the requirements, right? Because imagine someone wants to build, the problem the person wants to solve is easy access to food or easy delivery of food to your doorstep. If the business analyst or the product owner, the project manager does not adequately capture that requirement document and puts it in the requirements document, whether it's FRD or BRD, at the end of the day, if a wrong requirement is captured, the owner of the project, maybe one big man that wants to build the child deck, might just come 3 months later and is a mobile or an e-commerce product that they developed for him, right? If requirements are not adequately captured, the development team can go and build an entirely different application. So the importance of requirement documents and reviewing it properly will determine whether what the customer asks you to build is what you ended up building at the end of the day. So what should be the elements that a requirement document have? Clarity and completeness. You must be able to understand what the problem that product is supposed to solve is, right? Because as a tester, one of the things that testers should do is critical. One of the skills they need to have is critical thinking. You should be able to question everything. One of my friends and mentor would say that in God we trust, we test everything else. Meaning he trusts only God, everything else he must test it to be sure that it is sound. As testers, that's how our approach should be, right? So if someone says, Favor, we want to build a pen that can fly, you need to first, okay, a pen that can fly, what problem is this product going to solve? You need to be ready to ask questions. When they give you the requirement document, oh, the pen must be black, the pen must be 5 kilogram, the pen must have silver wings, the pen, you must be ready to review each of those requirements and ask the why. Why must the pen be black? Why do we want a pen that can fly? What problem is it solving? So it must be clear and complete, it must be testable, and it must be easily traceable. So we'll just move on quickly because we still have a long way to go. Where is it showing? Okay. So what are different types of requirement documents? I've also explained this, that they can bear different names. It can come as business requirements, system requirements, technical requirement documents, or it can come as process flows. That's literally a pictorial representation of how the flow should go for each component. So for example, if to use Facebook, you must have created an account or signed up on Facebook, right? Nobody just clicks on facebook.com and can begin to see pictures and can begin to send messages. No, the person must have created an account. So the process flow will start with onboarding, account creation, then it will move to login, then it will move to maybe profile management, where you set up your profile, or you can see your profile information. Then it then moves to other features that the application should have, ability to send images, ability to comment on other people, view other people's images, comment on other people's images, share a post, etc., all those other features. But a process flow diagram will show you the journey in which that application, users of the application need to go through. So you say one circle that starts with onboarding or sign up, next circle login, next circle like that. So that's what a process flow diagram is. Use cases and user stories, we'll discuss them in details, but these are some of the requirement documents, the different forms requirement documents can come in, right? User manuals can help you understand the product better. It's like manuals you get when you buy a new device that tells you what the device can do, how you can go about troubleshooting it. So those ones come as a form of requirement documents also, right? User stories and design documents. Because of time, I'll be skipping. Can you see my screen? Okay, I'm trying to zoom in.
Yes, we can, ma.
All right. So this is a sample. Let me see if I can zoom in better. This is a sample users. Okay. It's not allowing me. Okay. Sorry. I started the system. I don't know where it is hanging. Or is it any better? Is there any difference? Zooming in.
Yes, ma. And also zoom in from our end, though.
Okay, no problem. So let me try again. Okay. All right. So this is a sample user story, right? That's supposed to tell the story as a user. That's what user story is. So in software testing, most times it's very easy to answer some of the questions with just idea because the names already tell you what the answers are. So user story is you trying to tell the story as the user of the person that will end up as the end user of that product, right? So that's what the user story is. So you can see on a field on one column, it has title, which is the problem it's supposed to solve, enable user registration on a mobile app. Then this particular user story is saying, okay, as a new user, I want to be able to register an account on, let's say the name of the app is Positive Charge mobile app, so that I can manage my EV charging sessions and track my usage conveniently. So that's the story that this user the flow this user wants to go. He wants to be able to register an account. So the acceptance criteria here are like the requirements for you to be able to fulfill these acts in the under the user story. They say that the requirement should be the registration form must include fields for name, email, password, and vehicle details. As a software tester, you'd ask what type of name. Is it first name and last name? Is it first name, middle name, last name? You're already beginning to analyze the requirements that they have given to you. Acceptance criteria 1. Okay, emails and password. Don't you want to have the phone number of these users? Is a mobile app. Why are we not collecting the user's phone number? Are you saying the application doesn't need to send the user an SMS or a verification code in the future? As you are already beginning to analyze the requirements that they have given you for this problem they want to solve. So that's the view of testers to requirements. Second requirement says, okay, still on acceptance criteria 1, they say and vehicle details. What details specifically? Is it license plate? What are the vehicle details? Can you mention what they are? So that's the essence of having a QA in the team, right? Because to software developers, they don't have a problem with it. They just say, okay, name, Abi. They can just go and create one field name or create a field and call it middle name. They don't like to stress themselves. The truth is you wrote name, right? You didn't specify. They like the shortest cut to and the most easiest route is what they take. They just put one field, put name, put one field, put email, put one field, password, put one field, vehicle details. Exactly how you wrote it. They won't specify. But it's the job of the tester to then critique and analyze the requirements that are shared so that, and you analyze it as a user, because when you go to an app and you see vehicle details and you see a field, you begin to ask yourself, what details are they asking? Is it my license plate? Is it my driver's license number? Like, if you are an end user of this type of application, you might be confused. So the role of a tester is to assume you are doing two things. You're assuming the end user, the role of an end user, to see if this application we're building, can I understand it? Will I enjoy using it? You're also assuming in the development team, you're also assuming the role of the developer. So when you go to Scrum meetings, you are asking, you say you want to build a pen that can fly. Why? Mr. Product Manager, what is the problem a pen that can fly is supposed to solve? Right? So you as a software tester, you are acting on both ends for the end of the for the good of the end user and also for the good of the development team. So they don't go and waste time and effort building a feature that does not make sense, or building a feature that is not marketable, or building a feature that would not go live. Do you understand? So yeah, so this is just a sample of how some requirements can be written. Requirement 2 says user must receive a verification email upon registration. So if they have to receive a verification email, it means we must have collected email which justifies acceptance criteria 1. Requirement 3, the app must provide a confirmation message upon successful registration. So confirmation message via email or confirmation message via which means, right? Make it specific. User must be able to log in immediately after verification. So there's a lot of questions to ask here. So after verification, are you saying that in the verification email, there will be a link to the login page? Or how is the user supposed to navigate from the email they get, the confirmation email they got, back to the login page? Because for most apps you've used, sign up page where you sign up or create an account is different from the look and feel of a login page. So except you are redirecting the user to the login page, there is a gap here between 3 and 4 that you need to ask a question around. So, but basically, this is an introduction to how requirements can appear, right? I don't know why this thing is. Okay, so the next diagram here is, okay, I think I have it still opened here, is what a Figma design looks like. So a design document. Let me okay, you can see it, right? I don't think I need to take it to Figma. So Figma is a design tool. I can't hear you, Mr. Rai. You can use the chat. Your line is not very clear. But Figma is a design tool that product designers use. It enables or it helps them to bring the ideas that were written in that requirement document that we just looked at, that user story. They try to interpret it in pictures so that we can see how it will look like when the app is developed. So they pick the ideas from paper, from letters, and transform it to designs for us to be able to see, oh, okay, this is what this oven, so let's say this is another food, maybe pizza making code, mobile app. This is supposed to be a mobile app for making pizza or ordering pizzas, right? And it's called Ovenly. The designer has designed this to tell you, oh, this is what the brand or the logo for Ovenly will look like. This is what the text format it would be. These are the images that you should expect to see when Ovenly is launched, when Ovenly is opened on a mobile application. So one of the tools they use is a Figma tool. So sometimes you will hear, when we're talking about design documents, you can hear Figma design, you can hear wireframe, you can hear mockups. Basically, they are supposed to be picture forms or pictorial representatives of your requirements, right? So those are also present. All right, so let's move on. So this is a sample of a design document, a Figma design document. All right, so do we have any questions on requirements? requirement documents?
No, ma.
All right, great. So we'll move on to requirement traceability matrix. Like I said again, software testing, you can almost figure out what they are trying to say. So if you see requirement traceability matrix, can anyone guess what it means? I know I'm already showing you some sheets.
It's like it's something you use to trace if the functionalities or the features in the app match with what is in the requirements.
All right, great, great. So the check what if the features in the app matches with the requirements. All right, that's a good one. Anyone else? Okay, so we'll just go on from there. So requirement traceability matrix, usually called RTM for short, basically wants is the traceability is the ability to link your test cases and scenarios back to their requirements. So remember, why is this thing not moving upwards? So okay, all right. So remember that we had requirements in the form of acceptance criteria, right? For each of the app. We can also have, I think I have some requirement documents here. Let me check my desktop. Okay. I have one. Let me open another one. Okay, so I'm going to share my mains. Stop sharing this. And we share. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, ma, we can.
All right, great. So this is an example of a product requirement document that I've worked on in the past. Yeah, it might not be very fancy and all, but it contains the details of what you need. So this product requirement document is for a store front application. Let me see if I can zoom in. Oh, please go away, go away. All right. Can you see better now? Is it
Yes.
better
Yes,
now?
I see.
Great. So this is supposed to be a requirement document for what we call keeper stores. It's supposed to be like a storefront where you go and shop products, or as a seller. I think someone said, okay, is this Stephanie says she sells things online. So you need a store like this Flutterwave store. I think some other people have stores like that too, where they display the products they have, and like a marketplace where you can upload your products, upload prices, upload sizes, upload quantity, colors, etc. If you're selling clothing, sizes, colors, quantity, and people who are interested can click on your icon on that storefront and shop from you and make payments online. So that's what this product is for. And then you can see the objective of the product is to launch a store feature that will empower small businesses. So you see that it's telling you the problem it is supposed to solve, right? That's the objective. This is the products we have thought of, and this is a problem we want to solve. So it goes on to talk about business owners should be able to manage their inventory. Here it's mentioning some of the some of the features that this application should have in order to be able to solve the problem that we mentioned. So it should have a place where they can manage their products and inventory, take orders, track sales, accept online payments, get a free customized website for their products, etc. Right? So they then go into details as to what these things should contain. A view their products and collection online, add to cart, some of the features you should contain. Store should be subdomain. This is part of the technical requirements that it should have. it should have, this is also, progressive web score is also a web standard. This is a technical requirement also, but basically they are listing what it should have, what the application that is to be built should have, and what problem is solving, and what features it should contain. So here are metrics that you should track. You should be able to track the percentage of users that use this feature. You should be able to track the number of customers that visit the site. You see, all of these are part of the requirements. Meaning, at the end of the day, when the developers come together, the engineering team comes together, and they want to build anything, this metrics is something that at the end of the day you should be able to track from the application they built. So it's part of the things.
Hello, I can't hear anything. Am I the only one?
Please, is anyone else not hearing anything?
I can hear you, Claire.
Oh, okay. Okay, the person who spoke, sorry, might need to leave the call and join in. So you can see that the documents, they might not have listed it as that user story had requirements, but you can picture the requirements everywhere, right? So this is a PRD, product requirements. You can see it as you are reading on. It must be able to track transactions or orders that are generated. It must be able to track all these things. Then we go into details. This is not a Figma design. This is like a mock-up. A wireframe design is more of, when we're in, I don't know if you guys did it when you were in primary school, but when we're in primary school, when we want to draw caricature, we want to draw a human being, we'll draw a circle as head, we'll draw a straight line down as body, then we'll draw two lines to the side as hands and 2 lines to the side as legs. How many of us remember that drawing? You can just raise your hand or thumbs up.
Yes.
Okay. So a wireframe is something like that. A wireframe is not a full human being that has a real head and has a real neck and has real hands, shoulders, ankles. Shoulders, ankles, all those things. You can't see it from that caricature we used to draw in primary school. So a wireframe diagram is not a full-fledged diagram. It's just supposed to give you a hint as to what the design should look like at the end of the day. That's why it's called wireframe diagrams. There are resources that were provided that you'll study next in the coming week, so you stumble upon them in some of those resources. But this is like a mock-up. The mock-up is not a 3D visual full design like the Figma design I showed you. It's just like a screenshot, or like the name implies, mock-up, just trying to mock or mimic what the screen should look like when we develop the app. So this is an example of a mock-up. Here it's saying, it's providing details of this mock-up, that the URL for the agent, there should be a URL that the agent can view, can share, can copy. Basically, the URL for the merchant's online store will be created once the user is onboarded. For existing users, so this feature was supposed to be added to an existing application as a new feature, as an add-on feature to an existing application. So that's why you see for new users and for existing users there. So it goes on to tell you the specifications. There should be URL, there should be a share button, there should be a copy link, there should be view, there should be settings, there should be help. These are requirements that they're saying that this product should have. There are other requirements too. There should be an inventory column for this. You can see that the inventory is down here. And there should also be an invoice part. The inventory will in turn have 3 sections, saying that the inventory should have 3 things: a product, a category, collection, and catalog. So this design first shows where inventory is. This design then attempts to show the 3 categories that they said it should have here, which is products, catalog or collection or whatever the name is, then order. So you see products up here, collection and order. So this is a sample of a BRD containing some mock-ups to give you not just a text-based idea of the requirements, but also they made an attempt to show you a design view of what each of these requirements should contain. So here, the inventory part, it says there should be a add products page. There should be, so it goes on to provide details as to what you should see. There should be, product should be different from service, and there should be product name. There should be, so these are all requirements. I hope we understand this. This document helps to better clarify what a PRD will look like, acceptance, sorry, the requirements that it will contain, etc. Can we proceed from there? I hope that was helpful. Okay, so I will go on because of time. So I'm going back to my slide now. All right, Stephanie, your hand's up. Do you have a question?
Yes, I wanted to ask, is it the job of the software
No,
tester
it's not the
to
software
create the
tester's
requirement
job to
document?
create. You analyze the document. It's one of the test documents that you analyze, and based on that, and based on your analysis, you then create test cases and test scenarios from the requirements. The requirement document is usually prepared by either the business analyst, if your organization have business analysts, in conjunction with the product owner or product manager, right? Some organizations, have been to organizations that call it different names. They have product specialists, they have product owner, they have product manager, they have project manager, they have business analyst. But basically, somebody from the product and business team is the person that would gather these ideas and convert them into requirements. So it's not created by the tester. Where the testers come in is they review these requirements, they review the information in those documents, and then they ask questions, critique it, like some of the questions I was asking earlier on, critique the document. And usually that part of critiquing is very important to the success of the product, because you already, from reviewing the requirements, you can already see problems that product may have in future, right? Sometimes you can see problems that the developers, that will save the developers 1 month or 3 weeks from just reviewing requirements. So this stage of reviewing the requirements is very critical to the overall success of the application. So software testers, I heard someone say they're a lawyer. Software testers, you need to review the documents. You need to love to review documents, because you would have API documents to review when you're doing an API integration. You would have business documents to review when there's a new feature, business requirement or feature that comes out. You would have design documents to review, right? Somebody can put a name field and put a submit button on page 1, and then put a name field and put a enter as the name of the button. You need to be able to catch that. Why is there no consistency in the name of this button? Why are you calling it A here and you're calling it B on this screen? What's happening? Are they not supposed to do the same function, right? So analysis as a software tester, that's where we come in. And then more importantly, after you have analyzed the requirements, that's where you gather your test cases from. So for that project we saw earlier on, if you were to design test cases around that, they've already told you that the product is a storefront product, right? You already know the features that would be in the product. There's supposed to be an inventory place, there's supposed to be an order place, there's supposed to be a catalog place. So you already know that you will have test scenarios for each of these features, for view product, create product, share product, upload product. It's already forming because of the requirements you've seen. You've already seen how your test case document would look like. So that's where you begin to list out each of the test cases for each of the features for that app that you're about to test. So that's the importance of requirement documents. So requirement traceability metrics, that's what I'm showing now, shows the link between the requirements they gave you to the test cases or test scenarios that you've created. So for the example here, we see that Rec 001, which is the requirement ID, is speaking to a particular requirement, which is users should be able to log in with username and password. That's the requirement. Allow my users log in with username and password. You can skip business justification, source variety. Let's jump to test case ID. So there's now a test case ID here. Your test case, the test case for this test case ID can be login with valid, because it just states here, user can log in with username and password. It didn't tell us whether it's a valid username, whether it's a valid password, whether it's an invalid username or invalid, what will happen. So your test cases are supposed to depict what each of these things, behavior, and their expectation should be. So essentially, requirement traceability metrics or traceability metrics traces test cases back to their requirements. If requirement one, this rec 001 that is login, I can create like a minimum of 4 test cases from it. Test case 1 would be validate that user can log in with a valid username and valid password. That's test case 1, TC1. TC2 can be validate that a user cannot log into the application with a valid username and invalid password. Test case 3, validate that a user cannot log into the application with an invalid username but valid password. Test case 4, validate that a user cannot log in with an invalid username and an invalid password. Test case 5, validate that a user cannot log in without inputting a username or a password. So you can see that for requirement 001 alone, I have already mentioned 4 and 5 test cases that you can create to test this requirement. So you call them TC001, TC002, TC003, TC004, TC005. Your requirement document from what I just said now would be requirement ID, REQ001. Then in this test case ID, you put TC001, TC002, TC003, like that till you get to TC005, meaning 5 test cases can be linked back to this requirement number 1. Do we understand that? Do we understand requirement
Yes.
traceability? All right, great. So here's a
Yes, I do.
sample of, to describe what I just explained now, right? The requirements here is called BR 1.0. It can mean business requirements. Your organization, you can use anything, right? BR 10, the requirement is inbox, maybe view inbox or check inbox or use inbox, anything related to inbox. The scenario here is mails reply forward. This is an email. So what do you do with email? You can either forward an email, you can view an email, you can reply to an email. These are some of the scenarios you can use with inbox. TCID now shows the test cases for each of the test cases ID and what they mean. So TC01 is check the mail in inbox. I should be able to view the mail in inbox, right? TC02 means I should be able to open an email in inbox. TC03 says I should be able to unread a mail. So you can see all of these requirements are linked back to requirement BR 1.0. Okay, so because of time and since we don't have any questions on that, I will just continue. So please confirm you can still see my screen. Clearly. Okay, you can. Okay,
Yes.
so test scenarios and test cases, how are they different, right? This diagram is just supposed to show high level. I like using pictures because a lot of the time what helps me remember things is pictures. So test scenarios are high level like we saw above, inbox, right? You can just say like in the PRD we looked at earlier on, create products, high level. It doesn't tell us so much about it. Facebook, for example, pictures can just be the scenario. Under pictures can be view picture, share picture, um delete picture, re-upload picture. There are so many other things that you can extract from that key feature. But test scenarios speak to high level. So that's a test scenario. Pictures or inbox, like we just saw now, or products, sorry, inventory, like in the PRD we saw. So it just tells us inventory or storefront product model. Very high level. A high level description of the situation you want to test, right? In this case, it was inbox that we wanted to test. Then we split inbox into these different scenarios, which was mail. From mail, we could get different test cases. So test scenarios are high level. Test cases provide details. Remember when we were explaining one of the test scenarios, users should be able to log in with username and password. One of the scenarios we saw up here, right? User can log in with username and password. That is a high level scenario, login with username and password. The test cases will give you detailed instruction of how you want to go about that test. Okay, I want to test this login with username and password, but I want to first test with valid username, valid password, test case 2. Valid username, invalid password, test case 3. You are breaking it down, giving us details of how you intend to execute it, right? Including the test data you would use. So I'm guessing we understand that. Please, if you have any questions, do let me know. All right, so this is also an illustration of test scenarios too. The feature to be tested is login. The test scenario can be verified that the user is able to log in with valid credentials, right? So valid credentials can mean different things. Valid email or valid password. Valid email and valid password. That's 2 test cases from here. Verify a user is not able to log in with invalid credentials. So it can be invalid email, valid password, invalid password, valid email. Verify mandatory fields, check validation on login page. So the username and the password, are they both mandatory fields? Can I successfully send out can I successfully log in without putting in any of these mandatory fields? The test for that is check if I can log in without entering a username or entering a password. I just click on login. Will it allow me login? Will it throw an error? So basically that's test scenarios, high level, while test cases break it down into instructions, how we intend to go about those tests. So let's look at one test scenario and test case example. So verify that a user can successfully log into the application. And I've listed, we've gone through this already, so there's no need to go over that. This is a sample test case document that contains the test case ID, the scenario to be tested, the test cases, the precondition. That is, precondition means what are the things that should happen before I can go about this test case, executing this test case, right? If the test scenario is verify a login of Gmail, it means that before I can verify a login, I must have a Gmail account that I want to use to do this test. So that's why it's called precondition. What are the situations that must happen before I can execute this test? Test steps, these are details of what you are doing. The test data is information of the specific username, the specific password you are passing in, then your expected results, right? Post conditions are not that necessary. You really find them in our side of the country. I don't know about every other place. So expected results, actual results, and status. Status is either pass or fail. Sorry, if you have any questions, do let me know. I can see that it's past 9. We have used 1 hour already. Are there any questions? Hello? Hello?
No, ma'am.
There's no question.
Okay, great. So we're moving now to test plan. For test cases, how do you create test cases and test scenarios? You use okay, so let me reshare my screen and show you a sample test case documents. You'd see a lot of samples online, but because there is not a lot of time, I'll just, why is it not showing my Firefox? Okay, good. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. So this is a sample test case document, a sample template. In it is, you see that it's made of Excel. It's an Excel spreadsheet, right? There are different test case management tools you can use. Excel is most likely the default test management tool that you might come in contact with. Is manual. You need to set it up, create columns, name them, design them. But outside of Excel sheets, using Excel sheets, we have a lot of test case management tools. There's TestLink, there's TestRail, there is what are those other ones? But just to mention a few, TestLink and TestRail, they are test management tools that you can use to create your test cases, right? So in the test case, like in the samples I've shown you, we have a test case ID, we have the feature that is about to be tested, the scenarios that you want to test, the test scenarios, which is launch the application or log into the application or use multi-factor authentication. These are scenarios, right? High level, right? If you see this on a normal day, you may not fully understand what it means because it's a test scenario, is high level. Then each of the test cases then go in details to explain the test scenario. Oh, I want to validate that as a staff of this organization, I want to be able to log in with valid credentials, invalid credentials, like we showed in the example. So here are the test steps. Log into this and click on this, enter that, and then you see expected results. Okay, what should I see if I follow these steps? If you follow these test steps, you should see, I'm expecting to see a sign-in page on the CRM. I'm expecting to see a username input field, a password input field, a login button, a forgot your password link. The actual result, was it this or not? As it was as expected. So it means that the test passed, right? So this is a sample Excel test case document with test cases written on it. Because of time, would have to run. So these test cases are across different environments, sandbox and production, but they're essentially the same. They come with different statuses: a pass, a fail, a not executed, a not applicable. Your organization might have its own definition of what not executed means, right? Not executed might mean, oh, okay, this feature exists, but this feature is currently blocked, right? It's not responding. You know, sometimes you go to an app and you see coming soon, or you see an advert of a feature that is about to show up, that is about to go live, maybe in the coming weeks, just like marketing strategy to whet your appetite. For such tests, you can't test them because they are not yet live. They exist, but they are either still in development or they are yet to be released for public use. So you can write not executed for those test cases. Or maybe there is a bug that is preventing you from testing that particular test scenario or that test case. Then you put not executed because the bug is preventing you from executing that test. There's not applicable also. It might be not applicable, might be for a feature that's used to exist, but they scrapped it, right? The feature might still be there, or maybe like some applications that you have multiple banks. If there's a downtime on a particular bank, they might try to freeze that bank so that users don't go to that bank and use that bank and end up being debited but not getting credit. So sometimes they can block that feature until the issue is resolved before they unblock. So you can use not applicable at that part or not executed. Okay, let me go back to where we were on test documents. Okay. So we are now on test plan. Do we understand test cases, test scenarios, tests, and how we can get them from requirements?
Yes, please.
All right, great. I have one answer. I want to assume everyone else is. You can thumbs
Yes,
up.
please.
React.
Yes, we understand.
All right, that's great. So we're moving to another type of test document, which is a test plan. So a test plan is yet again another title that explains itself. It's how you intend to go about your test. What's your plan for your test? So some people say they want to travel abroad. They say, what's your plan? In explaining your plan, you will explain how you want to fund it, you explain which school you want to go to, you explain what course you want to study, what area it is, how you intend to live, get accommodation, feeding, transportation. That's you explaining your plans, right? So the same thing for testing. A test plan is you attempting to explain how you want to go about testing. And there are certain elements that should be in your test plan. So it's a comprehensive document that outlines the strategy. I know in your previous class you learned test strategy. So the strategy, the scope of your test, the objective of your test, anything that you will need for successful execution of your test. That's what will come in your test plan. And it usually has several important outlines. Some test plans may have all of this, some test plans might have more than this, some test plans have less than this elements, but these are some that we'll be reviewing. So the test objective, just like in that PRD document that I showed, that the objective carried an explanation of the journey that they took to arrive at that product, the problem they faced, and the solution they came out with, and how this solution will help solve the problem, and the features in it. That's where the test objective and the introduction is where you talk all that grammar. Okay, so what's the objective of this test? Why am I testing this application, right? That's test objective. Scope of test. Okay, this application is supposed to have 10 features. Is it all 10 features that I'm planning to test? Is it 5 of the 10 features I'm planning to test? Is it, you will tell us what areas, what the scope of your testing efforts would be, right? So it outlines the scope, which area will be focus area and which area will we will be out of focus. Test items, what features, components, modules does this test entail? So there'll be sign up, there'll be login, there'll be, you begin to learn and mention the different features that you will be testing for the application. Resources and responsibility. Okay, test strategy, I skipped that. So test strategy from the last guy, is it going to be, are you focusing on manual? Are you focusing on automation? Is it going to be integration test? Is it going to, that's where you state the strategy you will take. Resources and responsibility deals with who are the human resources, the manpower that will be needed for this test. So the resource, who will be the, is there going to be a testing lead? Is there going to be a mobile developer? Is there going to be, that's where you list all the resources and what their responsibility would be. Schedule and milestone speaks to, okay, so give me a timetable of how you want to do this, your testing. That's what schedules and milestone means. Just like you have a calendar for this program, that week 1, you will learn this, week 2, you will learn this, right? The same with your testing. In this schedule place, you say week 1, I will review requirements. Week 2, I will start creating. Week 2 to 3, I will create test cases from the requirements. Week 4, I will start doing manual testing of the application using the test case. So you're telling us the journey each week by week, what you will be doing. Risk assessment and mitigation. You tell us what are the potential risks. You've reviewed the requirements. What are the potential risks you suspect that will affect your testing? Is it that you don't have a laptop yet? You can't start testing. You can't even read the requirement document if you don't have a laptop. If you don't have a laptop, you can't start creating test cases. So that is a risk. You mention any problems you would face. Entry and exit criteria means what are the conditions. Entry requirements means what are the conditions that we need to meet before we begin testing. What must I have on ground before I say, okay, I'm ready to start testing? I must have a requirement document. I must have an idea of what the document and the application would be supposed to solve. You can list out the things. You must have a laptop to test, etc. Exit requirements means what are the conditions that I must meet before I say, oh, okay, I'm done testing. I'm closing the shop on testing. There's test environments, that's the hardware, software, the things that you need to carry out your test, the physical things you need to carry out your test. Internet, a laptop, whatever physical software, hardware that you need, Excel sheets, etc. Then the deliverables at the end of this, your plan, the same way we use the example of you are traveling for school, right? When you are coming back, your parents are expecting you to come back with a certificate. So deliverables is that what at the end of your testing, if it's 3 months, 10 months, what are the things you present to us as evidence that you have tested? So here's where you list your test case documents, your test plan, your requirement traceability metrics, and every other document. So here's a sample of a food delivery app test plan. It tells us about it, what the introduction is, and what the objectives for this application would be. It tells us what part of the testing would be in scope and what will be out of scope. Third-party vendor systems will be out of scope, meaning we are not testing third-party systems. We are not testing hardware-specific things, right? If the application has to use, say, a POS, we'll not go and start testing POSs. So that's what this person is saying is out of scope for them. But these are the things that are within scope for them to test. So the test item, they need a mobile app and they need a web application, they need APIs, they need third-party vendors that they will integrate to for payments and for map. So essentially, the test strategy also, they want to do functional tests, usability tests, performance tests, security tests, the strategy they want to adopt, the environment they'll be using, the type of test data they'll be using is included in the environment, the resources. So here they are writing they need a test manager, and this is what they expect the test manager to do. They need QA engineers, and this is what they will be doing. There will be developers, and this is what they'll be doing. There'll be security analysts. So there can be many more resources, right? And you can split these developers into specific front-end developer, that's mobile developer, product designers, etc. So this is schedule, like I explained earlier on, and the risk. Incomplete or ambiguous requirement is a risk, because it means if the requirement is not complete, you can't write a complete test case. If the requirement is not clear, then all of us will be set into a state of confusion. So this is a risk. Entry requirements, document requirements must be available. Environment that you want to use to test and the data must be available. Test cases must have been reviewed. Exit criteria, conditions for by which you can say, okay, I'm done testing or I stop testing. If all critical and high severity defects are solved, if serious issues have been resolved, if you have extensively written test cases to cover the whole scope of the project, and if the stakeholders have agreed that, oh, okay, yes, we are satisfied with your testing, you can exit. That's what is written by this person as their own exit criteria. Then deliverables, this QA is saying, I'll provide you with a test plan document, I'll provide you with test cases and scripts, I'll provide you with defect reports that I got when I was testing. Defect report means issues. I'll provide you with test execution summary reports and final closure reports. So yeah, before we go here, I want to quickly show you how to create a test case document using open source, free open source. The first one we used was Excel to show you how to write test cases. This next one is I want to use what's this thing called again? Google Docs. So I've stopped sharing and I'm resharing to show you Google Docs. All right, confirm you can see my screen. You can still see my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm trying to copy that sample test plan for the delivery. The sample test plan I just walked us through now. Why can't I copy this thing here? Okay, give me a minute, please. Sorry, 1 minute. I'm trying to copy. Okay, so I've copied it now. Let me see. Okay, can you still see my screen? All right, I can see it on my end. All right, that's fine. So this is I just copied the sample food delivery app test plan. And we want to convert this Google Docs to a test plan, right? We want to use it as test plan document to create our test plan document. So give me a name that you want this food delivery app to be called. Anybody? There's no time. Oh.
Tasty Tom.
Tasty.
Tasty Tom.
You just finished cooking stew.
No.
Okay, so our app is called Tasty Tom. Tasty Tom food delivery application, food delivery app test plan, right? So in our test plan, we would first create a title page where, so let me move this down. A title page where okay, so we've moved this down. A title page for our test plan. So let me copy this. Let me centralize it. Let me increase the size. What's the size now? We don't even know. Okay. Let's make it 36. Okay, let's increase it to 48. All right. Tasty Tom food delivery app test plan. So Tasty Tom food delivery app test plan. Okay. So this will be like our title page. Okay. So you can choose to insert. Let me see if I have a sample test plan. Okay, I do. I have a sample test plan. Okay. So I want to show you the sample test plan before we work on. Let me just share entire screen. Where is the sample test plan that I just opened though? Okay, so this is a sample test plan that I created, right? And we're going to try to replicate something like this. So this is the name of the app, Orbit Admin, and that is the test plan. So you can include a table for document review where it contain the date, because these documents can be reviewed over time and can be reviewed by another tester. So Uloma Bolton might be the first tester and that created this test plan in 2021, the version 1. When there's a version 2, another tester might be in the team and come to create on another date, say maybe 2023 version 2, write the description of the version and their name. So you might want to include the document revision history table that can track your documents as you're working on them. So let's insert to this our Tasty Tom. Let's come and insert a table. So you can insert a 3x2 table, and then we can call it the version of the app and name of the tester. So you can write the details. It's version 1 of the app. It tested on this date, blah, blah, blah. So you can choose to move this down a bit on the page. Okay, great. So now we have, let me move this introduction to another page too. Okay, so we have a blank page between the title page and the next page. On this page, I want to create a table of contents. So I come to insert, I scroll to the bottom and I click on table of contents. It will ask me to select from 3 formats. I don't know if you can see my screen. Let me move this. Okay, let me do it again. Insert, scroll down to table of contents. It's showing you 3 formats. Do you want it to be the items? Do you want it to be like this? Or do you want it to be like this? Or do you want it to be like this? which is links. And once you click on the link, it takes you to the area of the link. If you click on introduction, it takes you to introduction. If you click on scope of test, it takes you to scope of test, like that. So there are 3 options, and these are the 3 options for table of contents. So you can come here and name it table of contents. Content, bolding it to increase the fonts. However, what I do. However, you'd like it to be centralize it if you want. You can go ahead and design it anyhow you wish, right? So we have 3 formats of which of the 3 should we use? Let's stick to the links. The ones that are links. So you can choose any one and use any of them. Okay. So there you can come and edit the other rest of the information as you like. This test plan details, the strategy and the distance for Tasty Tom food delivery app. And then go and mention the features that Tasty Tom food delivery app should have, but following the elements that we mentioned earlier on, so you can proceed from here. If you want to design your test plan to contain things like pages, you can come on insert, you can insert a page, you can insert page numbers, you can insert headers and footers. Let me put a footer, for example. Let me call it Tasty Tom V1. So this is the footer that will be okay. So this footer, I don't want it to be on the left side. I want to, let me go to the footer. Okay, there's options here. Footer formats, different page layouts. Okay, I'm fine with the size. What I want to change is the position. Sorry, I want to make it in the center of the page, so I've moved it now to the center of the page. If I want to insert page numbers, I can insert page numbers, right? Oh, but this is still in, sorry, I'm not inserting it as footer. I come and I insert page numbers. What's going on? Okay, so page numbers have been inserted. Page 1, page 2, like that. I'm going on. View, let's see, what other ways can you, what other things can you do? You can tweak because of time. Okay, this one I'm staying here too long. You can tweak your test plan whatever way you want to be, in whatever font, whatever design. You can apply color to the pages. Hello, can you still hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing
Yes, we
you.
can.
We're hearing you.
Okay, I saw something. Okay, so yes, so that's how you can create a test plan, a test document. You can customize it to, you can include the image of, so let's just look for an image. Food app images or logos. No, food app logo. Okay. Let's look for this coffee. I like this one. So you can copy the image and you can place it either at the top, in the middle. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, apologies. I think my network, something happened to my network. So I was on test case documents. I said you can copy an image, you can add it to your test plan, you can change the font or the colors just to make it more appealing. You can modify it, but basically this is just how to go about creating your test plan. So we continue from there. Do we have any questions on test plan? See, we have 20 minutes left. Are there any questions on test plan? Everywhere is silent. Is it silent because you completely understand or silent because you're confused?
Yes, please, I understand.
We
Okay.
understand. Just go. Yeah.
All right, great. Great. So we proceed from here to test data. All right. So we started the journey with requirements and moved from how we can interpret requirements and use the requirements we have analyzed to create test cases, to create test scenarios and test cases, right? But for us to go about testing, we need data that we would use to test. So when you're testing the login, you need actual usernames, you need password. And if you're supposed to do the test multiple times with unique names, you can't be thinking of which email did I use last week or so that I don't use it again. Or you can't be thinking of 20 usernames, 50 usernames. You might be testing it for months. You can't always be thinking of how to generate that test data by yourself. We can use test data generation tools, like some that I've listed here. I use auto test data. There's Mokaru and there is Lambda test. So let's go to auto test test data. Let's it here. This is my default test data generator. So here you can generate different names. It will ask you what information, what data type you want to generate data for, right? So if it's a login, for example, you know that what you'll be using will most likely be email and password. If it's a sign up, you might need email, you might need name, email, phone number, maybe gender and other things, right? So how does this test generator work? I can select the fields that apply to me, which is name. I want to pick name. I want to pick first name. So it's asking me what type of name do you want me to generate for you? Is it first name, last name, or full name? If I pick full name, it changes to full name. If I pick first name, so if I pick full name, it's going to be generating full names for me, mostly 2 names or 3 names. If I pick first name, it will generate only 1 name, which should represent the first name. So let's do full name, right? Then I want to select phone number. I can specify the phone number type. So this is not a Nigerian phone number. I can come and edit how I want it to look. 234. Nigerian number will be how many digits is it again? 11 minus the first 0, so 8151770. Okay, so this is still in order, right? Next thing, I wanted to generate email. I don't want currency. Let me see something else. Alphanumeric. So this alphanumeric can be password. I can call this field password. I can use this alphanumeric to generate password, and I can state the length that I want the password to be, which is 8 characters, right? I don't want number range, so let's just generate for these 4 things, right? So I've specified the data types I want to generate data for. Next thing is I want to specify, no, I'm not adding more. What format do I want the data to come? I'll select CSV, meaning I want them to generate this data and give it to me in CSV or Excel format. I'm selecting CSV. Then I come and state how many records of this user's data do I want to generate. So do I want to generate 10? Sorry, please. Do I want to generate 10 different users? That is 10 different full names, 10 different phone numbers, 10 different emails, 10 different passwords. This thing has gone back to 5. I left it in 8 now. How did this thing jump to 15? What's going on here? So let me generate 15. Let me continue 15. So I click on generate. So this is it. You can see full name, Jordan Quape Leslie Monahan, with phone numbers, with email, phone numbers following the format I set, with emails, with passwords. If I download it, it's going to create a CSV file that contains this data. So when I'm executing my test, I've already generated 15 full names that I can use, right? If you're using an automation tool, you just use data-driven test, and it will just be reading the data from this CSV file and using it to run your tests. So that's what a data generator helps you do, create the data, so that you don't each time keep thinking of a full name, keep thinking of a unique password, thinking of a phone number. So other tools that help you do that is Mokaru. I just showed you auto test data. There's Mokaru also. You see it's similar, it's quite similar. You can add fields, you can specify fields. So you can come and choose different types of tests: airport name, car, color, country, date, time. This one has a larger data set that you can use. You can choose formulas, you can choose gender, you can choose different things. If you come to advanced, you see there are different data types on like auto test data, car model, car make, carving, for construction related data, health related data, IT related data, domain name. You can come and generate different domain names, etc. So yeah, that's what test generating tools help you with. Oh my god, I wasn't sharing, guys. I wasn't sharing the. Did you see the auto test data, Mokaru? Oh, nobody said anything.
No, but I was looking at it from my.
Oh wow, that's very interesting. Okay, let me come back to auto test data. Showing the entire screen now. So this was auto test data. I don't know if I shared. If you saw this, did you see this? Nobody saw it.
No,
I
I
wasn't sure.
didn't.
No,
Okay,
I
so I
didn't.
came to the site auto test data. This is the test
No,
data.
I didn't.
Okay, this is the data generator, and this is the second one that I did that I was talking about that has more data types. So this first one has name. You can select the type of data from this list. If you want only text, if you want it to generate street addresses for you, um, it will generate. So I selected name and I selected full name. So you can either generate full names, you can generate first name only, which is one name, last name only, one name also. You can select. So I selected full name. I came to phone number. I selected phone number here as another data I wanted, and I specified the extension +234, which is Nigerian phone numbers. And I put hash for the remaining phone numbers that represent Nigeria phone numbers, right? If it's Ghana, it's 233. If it's other countries, you use their extension codes to generate. You can come and select country. If I don't want email, you can come and select street address. I can come add more data, add email, etc. Right? So it will ask you what format do you want to export this generated data. I selected CSV. Then it asks me how many rows of information do I have, meaning how many people's information do I want to generate. So let me generate 20 this time. I click on, this was the previous one I did of 15, but let me click on 20 now. So you see now that's giving me 20 full name, phone number, 20 records of people. See it here. 20 records of people. They are based on their full name, their phone number, their country, their street, and email. So let me download it so that you see what it looks like. All right, so click on downloads. So these are the 21. Yeah, so this is the 20 list of full names, phone number, country, street, emails. So that's what a test data generator does for you. So instead of you thinking of 20 full names, thinking of 20 unique phone numbers, thinking of 20 countries, you can just use a test generator to generate it. And if you are working with automated tests, you can just set your test to read from this file each time you want to run the test. So I showed you a second test generator tool, which is Mokaru. You see, it's almost in a similar format, but Mokaru has a lot more data types to choose from. You see airports, you see airport continents. This one has a larger data set compared to auto data, and they're put in different categories. So if it's e-commerce, you can see e-commerce related data types. If it is construction related, location related, IT related. You can choose different, it can help you generate different MAC addresses, help you generate different domain names. If it's nature, you see nature related data, etc. Right. So that's the essence of test generating tools, test generators. Do we have any question on that?
No, please.
All right. I hope you are following. I hope you are finding the class or learning a thing or two from the class, right? Because this silence, I don't know whether I'm doing a terrible job, whether I'm boring you guys. There's no way I know.
No,
There's no
you're
way.
doing great.
You're doing a great job, but just
We
that
had,
the call was just kicking us off and I
oh
missed
wow.
some parts there.
Oh, sorry about that. I hope it's still recorded, though. I think it's still recorded, so you watch the recordings.
Yeah,
Apologies.
even I was having trouble with network.
Okay, and I'll share the slide also, so you'll be able to go through it. So, that brings us to the end of this week. You have resources for the week, but what are the key takeaways or lessons we've learned so far? We've learned on requirements, on how it's important as testers to analyze requirement documents. We've learned who creates them and what we need to do when we get a requirement document, which is first to ask questions based on it and then proceed to create test cases out of it. We also looked at test scenarios and test cases, how they are different, and how to create them in our test case document. Then we spoke about how to manage and create test data. We also spoke about test planning, what a test plan is, and how to create one using open source tools like Google Docs, how to design it, the elements of the test plan, etc. So, do we have any questions?
None for now.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask how important it is to create a test plan before testing, because most people don't. I think most people leave it for the test lead if there's a test lead in the company. So if you are working single-handedly, is it important that you create a test plan?
Okay, so the test plan is, as a tester, it's great to have a test plan because, like I said, it's like you want to travel to go and study and you don't have a plan. You don't know where you are going to. You don't know how much you will spend. You don't know what course you'll be doing. So the test plan is more beneficial for you, the tester, than for anyone else. Is in the test plan you will know that I planned to test this thing to review requirements for week 1, but this is third week and I've not gotten requirements. I'm running at a risk. Is you that will know it because you created a plan that you're supposed to use. So if by end of week 1 you haven't even started reviewing the test document or there's no requirement document, right? Then you know you're already behind in your plan. So the test plan is mostly useful for you, the tester, right? It helps you to figure out, what are the things that are out of scope, because sometimes, and then it's like an agreement. Sometimes you might pick the app and they'll say, okay, we're only doing 5 features, and before you know it, 1 month into the project, they've brought 3 other features. You will say, no, these 3 other features are out of scope, because in my test plan, when we originally agreed on me testing this application, we said we'll test 5 features. The problem is, if you do not document that thing somewhere, share it, and you said, okay, based on my schedule, I'll use 3 weeks to test these 5 features. I use 1 month to test these 5 features. If you didn't document it, by the time they bring 3 other features and add, they will still be shouting and harassing the tester that, why haven't you finished? You say you finished this thing in 1 month. You promise you finish this thing in 1 month. They will not remember that you gave 1 month for 5 features, not 8 features. So the test plan is mostly for you, to keep you safe, to direct how you want to go about planning, and also as a proof whenever things change. And whenever they want to throw testers under the bus, that this was what I said was going to be my approach. In my test strategy, I mentioned functional testing. I didn't mention non-functional. You guys agreed to my test plan and deliverables. So if you're asking me for non-functional test, I'm not saying I won't do it, but I may need extra time, or it might extend my testing time. So those, you don't, instead of avoiding speaking English, you just show them the documents. The document is for the tester, to help the tester. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. All right. In the absence of any questions, I guess we are good. Thank you so much. It was nice getting to meet you guys. Apologies for the network. And I wish you all the best. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, bye.